Welcome to Call the Nurse, life support for the stories that don't make it in the chart. Because not all wounds are visible and not all healing is clinical. I'm Mindy, a nurse, a mom and wife, and someone who's lived through pain, joy, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be sharing life experiences, not only from the front lines of nursing, but we'll dive into the raw and unfiltered moments of parenting and marriage, and also explore what it truly means to heal body, mind, and heart. So whether you're going through your own personal transformation or just need a place to feel understood, you've come to the right place. So take a deep breath. You're not alone. Let's talk about it. Let's call the nurse. Welcome back to Call the Nurse. My guest today knows exactly what it feels like to lose their voice and what it takes to get it back. There was a time when Candis Melamed stayed silent, bullied as a girl, belittled early in her career, and trapped in an abusive marriage that nearly broke her spirit. But silence is no longer her story. She rose, she healed, and she rebuilt her confidence from the inside out. Today, Candis is a certified transformational coach, visibility expert, and the founder of the Spotlight Method, a coaching program that helps women reclaim their voice and their power. For more than 20 years, she's been one of the leading publicists in the health and beauty industry, representing world-renowned physicians and helping them generate billions of dollars of earned media around the world. She's been featured on numerous podcasts and stages, inspired women everywhere to rise, speak up, and speak up and step boldly into their authentic voice. So, Candis Melamed, my friend, thank you for joining me on this very special, special day.
Thank you so much for having me today, Mindy.
Absolutely. You are such a dear friend. And I just want to say, there are some friendships come from growing up together. I have incredible childhood besties, but others come from growing into yourself. And there's something very different about the friendships we form in midlife, right? They're not built on convenience or history. They're built on truth. And Candis entered my life just 3 years ago. Hard to believe. Mm-hmm. Yet she knows me more deeply than many people who've known me for decades. Through our work with our Warrior Women and our Wise Women Collective, she has become witness to my unfiltered self, the shedding, the healing, and the reclaiming. She's been the Jewish sister I never had, not by blood, but by choice. And today we're going to talk about the gift of friendships that arrive later in life and what happens when women find their voice and help others do the same. What's interesting is that Candis has spent her career helping others be seen and heard. But today we get to hear you. So I wanted to you are such a valuable friend to me and in midlife. And I want everyone to know that these treasures, you are a gift to me truly. So
I love you.
Thank you. You're so talented. I could list all your accolades, but you really...
That was quite the introduction.
Yeah. I mean,
humbled.
I had to, if you're going to make your kind of debut of like getting out there and visibility, we are going to make it happen. You came into my life at a time when I was really struggling and not really feeling accepted, especially into my new, Jewish family, not just as a person, but culturally, spiritually, and without trying, you just really showed up for me. And that's something I don't know that I've really ever experienced. You showed me even the Jewish community through a different lens. And I really needed that in that moment. So I really appreciate that about you. So how did we meet? Do you remember when we met?
I do.
This is crazy because we didn't meet in person right away. And look how close we are now.
Yeah, I know.
How did we meet?
We met on Zoom in the Warrior Women Limitless class.
Yeah. What year was that?
That was 3 years ago. So 2020.
Yeah, something like that.
Coming up on 4 years, maybe 2022.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was actually almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. I remember being on that Zoom. I remember going through a lot of stuff with my daughter at the time. Mm-hmm. She was having some challenges. And I remember being on that Zoom for the very first time and telling Liz, who leads the group, I want to know her. I liked you. I didn't know what it was, but I was like drawn to you immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, now 4 years later, I totally know why.
Yeah.
But
Well, at the time we were both so deep in our own stuff, like our own messiness of like trying to navigate.
Yeah.
I was trying to navigate overwhelm coupled with grief after having lost my grandparents, especially my grandmother, who was sort of my North Star. And you were going through some challenging things as a mom with your daughter. So we were just both really deep in it.
Yeah.
We weren't over here trying to be like, I'm here to make friends.
Yeah, definitely not.
Right.
But I remember looking at you going, oh my gosh, she has so put together. Like, I want to be her friend because I feel like a hot mess right now.
Aww.
So
meanwhile, I was a hot mess internally.
I
So
think we all, listen, we were there for a
met
reason,
each
right?
other, right.
And that's what I really want to talk about, is because I feel like there's these unexpected friendships that come out of like nowhere. And in this time in our lives where it's not really a time to where you're making these new best friends, right? It's not like as we're getting our 40s and late 30s that we're like, hey, let's make new friends.
Yeah.
Like
They happen differently, right?
They just happen
Usually
differently,
like through your children's friends' moms, or it's work or something like that. As you get older, those become the types of ways you might find a connection.
Absolutely.
Meet someone older, make a connection. But even then, it's very rare that the conversation goes deep or it's authentic or genuine. Those conversations tend to be, and this is why I really stopped doing the mom's night outs, like while my kids were, my daughter was in preschool. The conversations tend to be pretty superficial, light on the surface.
We get to bash our husbands.
And I don't really love that.
Yeah.
They didn't really seem to be of substance. And it's great, so you want to have light conversation and have fun, and sure, there's a thing for that, but then just for that to only be it is, I want something with more meaning and depth. So those conversations are just kind of go only a certain so far.
They only go so far. Yeah, and they get so deep.
Yeah.
Is that what drew you to going? Because I know I was going into this kind of warrior women kind of course. What drew you to that? Like, and what were you kind of hoping to get out of it?
I have to be honest, I don't think that I came into that program, into Liz's program, either willingly or with some serious intention. I was like, this is what I want to get. This is what I need. Mindy, I didn't know what I needed. Okay. At that time in my life, the way I describe it is I was barely keeping my head above water. I, work, I've got an agency. I had 2 young kids at that time in preschool.
And a husband who's a physician, who's a very busy doctor.
I mean, it's life, and I'm very connected to my family. So there's family, my, nuclear family, my extended family. It's just, it's a lot. And somehow after I had my daughter, whom I love dearly, I never got my footing back. Like after one child, it took me a couple months. I got my footing back. I got in a rhythm. I was able to like work out, take care of myself and work and the kids. It flowed. But after the second, I don't know why I could never, and it was
Were you feeling disconnected?
6 years later. And that's when Liz kind of talked about her program and what she's doing. And it wasn't like I said, I need that, because I was basically almost drowning in an overwhelm with all the things, all the to-dos on my list in my life. It was more like Liz saying, you need this, sign up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did sign up.
Yeah.
But even that first lesson or that first group session where she's like, what is everyone hoping to get out of this?
Gosh. Yeah.
My answer was literally, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm hoping to get out of it. I don't even know what I can get out of it.
I think I felt that way too, but obviously something drew us.
This is survival mode is where I was in.
Agreed.
I was in fight or flight every morning, and I was in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel very similar. It was the exact same time, but something drew us. We were obviously needing some kind of connection. I mean, did you think you were going to find community? I mean, obviously you didn't know what you were doing, but
I didn't know what I was getting myself. Yeah, I definitely didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it didn't take very long to realize, and Liz curates her groups. So
she does.
It didn't take very long to realize I was definitely attracted to the meaningful conversation, and that everyone was equally vulnerable, that what you're sharing is protected in that space.
Right.
But more than that, and she talks about the power of the group coaching,
Sure.
is how much we learned from each other.
Yeah.
How much I feel like I was in the group with some women who were older than me, who had older kids.
Yeah, in rooms that we would never be in normally, although we were on Zoom.
Yeah, well, it's different. They were in their different seasons of life or different stages. And yet what they said was totally relatable to me. And I learned from it. I learned from their retrospective of their situations. And I was equally surprised to hear them say, wow, Candis, that's a really good point. Or, you sharing that made me think of that time in my life where XYZ happened.
Right. And don't you think that midlife, I mean, you're a little younger than me, but not much. I mean, I think that midlife around this time is where, that's why I think this group became so important for us, because I think women right now are needing and wanting and craving more depth. I mean, never mind that, we're starting to deal with hormone shifts. Our kids are getting older, busy lives. But I feel like this part of our life, and correct me if I'm wrong for you, that we're starting to let go of friendships that are tied to our former selves.
Well, first let me say that overall, culturally, we're at a time where authenticity is the biggest currency.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Yep.
Between AI and sort of what's going on in the world, people are sort of craving
real.
They want to know that it's not a bot.
Right.
They want to feel a connection. They want to feel heart.
Yeah. Not
some
too polished.
emotion.
Right.
Not some cookie cutter answer. Or the superficial. So authenticity alone is like currency right now.
That's a really good point. I mean, what do you think it is in midlife friendships that can feel more honest than maybe our earlier ones?
Well, it's interesting because before I started this work, I wasn't 40 yet. I was in my late 30s. And I remember thinking, like, just having this thought of how I've heard people say, after 40, you just don't give a shit. Like, you just don't.
I heard that too.
Sorry for cursing, but this is what I've heard. And I remember thinking to myself, if that's what happens, why do I have to wait till I cross that threshold into 40?
Why is it 40? I'll tell you why, because hormones leave. But anyway.
But why do I have to wait for that?
Yeah.
If I know that that's what's going to happen.
Sure.
Why can I not fast track that at 38 or 39, which is kind of like where I was?
Yeah.
And so that idea itself became interesting to me. That this is what everyone older than me is saying.
Yeah.
And I've been
like, I want to start now.
Yeah. Well, why do I need to wait?
Yeah.
Why can't I start now? How does that work? I kind of became a little curious about that. And I think there's something that happens in midlife where maybe you just get a little tired, a little worn down, and you start to realize that the pace at which you're going and the amount that you're carrying
and giving
of yourself. I mean, certainly I wasn't even on the list.
Yeah.
I had a long list of stuff to do every day.
Right.
I wasn't even on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're everything to everyone and nothing for yourself.
Right.
And by your midlife, that starts to take a toll.
Absolutely.
Sooner or later. It probably depends on how much you're carrying.
Yeah. It's like that self-care, but you talk about self-care and I'm like, what is that? Like taking care of ourselves. And I remember even going to like our coaching group and being like, what is this thing, self-care? And now I get it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not taking care of myself emotionally and like connecting with other women, then I can't show up.
It's so much more than a spa day. This is not what that is. But it's what people perceive when you just say it.
Sure. Well, in coaching, there's coaching programs everywhere. Let's get real. I mean, there are these, but this was different.
This was very different. Yeah, they are not the level that we went
and
into.
That's why I love what you're doing, because I know and I've watched you transform in the work you've done. So to now see you use that, we'll get to that later. But it is beyond inspiring. And I think if each of us were to look back on that day when we met on Zoom, and we would tell each other now what we're doing, we'd have been like,
never believed
There's no way.
Right. We couldn't have even envisioned this version of ourselves back then. Again, because we were in survival mode.
Right. And again, back to the point of needing somebody in my life like you that kind of brought, that out in me. Not every woman has that. I mean, we have our friends, but this is very
There are no accidentals.
This is my soul sister.
Nothing is an accident. I really believe that when we met finally in person, and I was like, oh, look, there's a whole other half to you.
I know, because we've been sitting in a chair.
When we met and how quickly we connected, which is also very unusual, it was just a clear indication that, and the way you felt, I needed you in my life.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
We always talk about, the divine intervention, the universe looking out for us.
Absolutely. And I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And it continues to. I mean, when I look back at that time and you saw me before I even got married, you watched me battle through those challenges. You watched me battle through, again, just kind of the whole Jewish thing that I was dealing with my in-laws and my fiance's family. I really believe you just showed me through a different lens. You just helped me kind of see like, okay, it's not all this way.
Which is so funny because we never had any intentional conversations.
Yeah, but there was something of like, okay, but she's Jewish, she likes me. There must be something, going on. But even then you watched me really battle through with my daughter. I mean, times where I would show up on Zoom and again, we can look at social media and Mindy looked happy and taking trips and vacations and I'm engaged and I'm getting married, but you saw what was really going on. I mean, what was that like for you? Because we'd probably been together, 6 months or maybe into a year. What was that like for you watching me navigate through some of these deep times showing up on these Zooms?
Well, I think that the unique situation of being in the environment that we were, where it was encouraged, if not expected, that you be vulnerable and you crack open your heart and lay out all the things, is in and of itself a unique situation.
Sure.
So not something, had I not been in that room that I would have probably been privy to. And
we each resisted at times too. Let's just get it straight. I mean, we would be encouraged to do that and we'd be like, not me today. I'm not going deep today.
Everyone is going to resist this work.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone.
Absolutely.
That's almost our natural instinct. Yeah. It's scary and it's difficult to really to look at something without judging it and just to try to heal it. So, but I always say you never know what's going on behind closed doors for that very reason. Somebody could be walking around happy, they're traveling, like you said, they look great, so put together, their life is amazing, but you don't know what's going on in their heart. And for me, you were so incredibly strong and brave. And I was really in awe of how you were navigating it all. The fact that you would even show up on Zooms.
It was ugly.
When it was really hard to pull it together to do that. And allowing yourself to show up, even if it was messy and ugly and crying and all the things.
Slinging snot.
And all the tissues and the snot and all the things. It gave everybody else in that room, myself included, the permission to ease up on holding it together and realize that it's okay to unravel.
Right. Fall apart.
It's okay to unravel.
Yeah. And that was a safe space to do it. At first it felt like a little scary, but
because that's not our natural instinct.
Yeah, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be here.
We're not unraveling on everybody.
Yeah, and it became such a safe space for me to where even though I may not want to engage and get on and talk or even go to events that we would do or retreats, it became like my refuge.
Yeah.
Right? To where I knew I would be safe here, even if I didn't talk, even if somebody just held space for me. And I think that's something that, you are so good at. Like you are such a good listener and you make people feel so seen so quickly. I think that's why I was really drawn to you and I didn't really have words for it. You would kind of step back, as far as you would listen a lot, not necessarily use your voice, but but when you did use your voice, it was like, oh my gosh, she's so wise and she's younger than me. Before you started, all of this work, how would you describe your relationship with your own voice?
It's interesting because I was in a career that was all about amplifying everyone else's voice.
Yes.
Shining the spotlight on everyone. And can I tell you how happy I was behind the scenes? Like, it was my happy place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were more relieved to be behind closed doors.
I felt at home there.
Yeah.
I felt at home behind the scenes. I felt as a publicist, you make interviews happen, you make things happen, and then no one knows about it. And I actually was drawn to that career for that reason. How interesting is that?
Interesting.
Right? I wasn't looking for a byline. I wasn't looking for the spotlight.
Right.
In fact, I somehow picked a career where I was nowhere near the spotlight.
And that you wouldn't even be expected to.
Right. And it was always, look at this other person.
But did you feel so proud of like, look how I made them shine?
Yes.
Look at my protege.
I was like, look at this. Look at what we've built. This person is an expert now in their field. And you could see the collection of the body of work and how you could, and I always believed in authenticity. So it was never about making somebody who they're not or having them say anything.
Fake, right.
Right. This wasn't about spinning anything. This was, and I worked in the health and beauty industry with a lot of doctors. So my real intention behind everything was educating the public, using my client's voice to educate consumers. And that's really where the bulk of my career is.
Yeah.
But having said that, I only, having started doing this work, realized how disconnected from my own voice I was and how I really, in my own life, didn't feel like I had a strong voice. Now, don't get me wrong. Within my family, my parents, my brother, my grandparents, that was always a very safe space for me. I had a voice there.
Like you felt like you could speak.
I could always speak freely and openly. They would come to me for input and advice, and it was shared and welcomed, and that was always where I shined. But everywhere else in my life, at school, whether I was younger, at school, later in my life, in career, in my first marriage, I did not have a voice.
Maybe it's interesting to me, Candis, because, it seems like it felt safer to you to listen than to speak.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that that's what drew me to you.
Yeah.
That's what makes you such a good friend as well.
I
Like
do
when you
love to
do
listen.
speak, you drop these like nuggets of wisdom, but you create such a presence and like really listen. And that's why I get excited to see kind of this new thing where you're starting to use your voice, because not only do you listen, you're actually, speaking.
I do love to listen, and I genuinely find people's stories and what they have to say interesting. And I think naturally I'm an empath.
Yeah.
So that combination just works well together, and it has always worked. And I don't, I know, especially now, that I don't need to speak to fill a void. I don't need to speak for the sake of
like any kind of attention.
Right. Attention or making noise. I'm now speaking and stepping into my power to be of service and to lead other women.
Yeah.
So when I speak, it's just not holding back, not questioning what I'm saying. It's just really coming from an intentional place.
Yeah. I love when you say, not questioning, because you would always be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And, Mindy, what do you think I should be doing? Or Liz, what do you think? And now like, you're like, so like into this kind of evolved self. But do you remember a time where you really wish someone would have listened to you, or you just really felt this deep desire to feel heard?
I am extremely grateful for my nuclear family. And then I also have a cousin sister, sister, like she's a cousin, but really we grew up like sisters. And I have always had her too. And she's been the one that has really listened and been through everything. So I feel fortunate that I had it, but I can't ever say, there's a big group of people.
Sure.
I have a big group of friends who wanted to hear, who asked, who cared. Or who I felt like it was safe to do so, and not like they would take what I was sharing and my vulnerability and either use it against me or share it with other people. You know, I grew up in the Persian Jewish community in Los Angeles. It's a very small community. So it doesn't take much for word to travel rather fast.
Yeah, it's like a small town within this like this big, large town. And, you did a post one day about your previous marriage. And oh my God, see, why am I choking up? It floored me. I texted you
triggering something in you.
I texted you right away. I think because I knew who you were before, and you would never talk about it.
Yeah.
And you always felt either ashamed, or just your community, you felt like I can't just kind of go there. But I do, again, find it interesting that you chose this career to where you just was able to sit back and listen and not speak.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that way in that first marriage?
I definitely didn't feel empowered to stand up for myself. And sort of the dynamic of it didn't help either. It almost made it worse. So the important thing to know, and now that I have, done the work, so to speak, is that wasn't the first time in my life where I was silent.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up one day and decide not to speak.
Right.
It's something that happens slowly and gradually over time when a situation tells you that it's safer to be silent than to speak.
So you learned that earlier on.
So that it becomes a survival mechanism. And for me, that happened way back when I was younger in middle school when I first started being bullied. So girls would pick on me.
How could anybody bully you?
Oh, girl,
You're
I'm
like
Persian.
the sweetest thing ever.
I'm Persian.
But I do remember you saying the unibrow. You had a unibrow. Did they really bully you for that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to go beat them up.
Girls can be mean. And which is one thing that I'm super cautious and careful of now, also raising a daughter. But those were the early days when that seed was planted for me, where I didn't feel safe speaking up, defending myself, or talking back,
or even putting yourself out there visibly, right? Because you'd be afraid to make fun of you.
I literally would have lunch in the nurse's office.
So that makes me sad.
No, and I love the nurse.
If I was your nurse, if I was your nurse, you could call the nurse, and I would have been there.
I've always had a relationship with the nurse. I would literally hide in the nurse's office during lunchtime just so I wouldn't have to be visible. So talk about, I mean, in the literal sense of it.
Yeah.
And then culturally, having grown up in the Persian community, I mean, my family on both sides, both parents, is unique in the sense that they really value the women and the daughters. But culturally, the Persian community has really an emphasis on men. And women have a role, and there's a way they're supposed to be, and you don't talk back because it's rude. So I could take this back to childhood and just the inferred understanding of you don't speak up, you're not supposed to be loud or noticed or make a scene or draw attention to yourself. And if you say anything, it could be misconstrued the wrong way, and then you have to backpedal. So then by the time I got to middle school and I was bullied and it went through high school,
you're like,
I full on retreated.
Yeah, I'm going to be a turtle in my shell. Bye.
And then that same, my nervous system responded the same way when I started working, and I worked for a woman who I thought was super empowering and strong, but it really turned out that she was toxic and making belittling comments and making
you married.
So you fall into if nowhere along the way I am stepping into my power, or I'm even raising my awareness to recognize patterns, you're going to fall into the same pattern.
Yeah.
Right?
You probably weren't even aware. I mean, how old were you, if you don't mind me asking, when you had because your first marriage lasted very, very short time.
It was very short, but I was 24.
Right.
So I was very young, and I hadn't.
But it seems like you were stepping into what you'd already been kind of, known to do.
Well, this was my what seemed like a personality trait, but it's not. It was a nervous system response to everything. So I was not one that I would freeze in conflict, right? I did not talk back.
Well, I stuttered there for a second because I don't freeze in conflict.
No, but I did.
At all. I'm like, "Rrr."
Right. But that was my nervous system.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about the silence, I couldn't respond in the moment that someone was, that I was in conflict with, even if they weren't yelling and they were just being stern. And then 30 minutes later, the entire conversation would replay in my mind. And I would have all the comebacks in the world, and all of the
why didn't I?
Why? And I would say this, and you have this to say. Well, what about this, this, and this? And the conversation would ensue, and then I would be enraged and mad at myself for not having spoken up in the moment.
Interesting.
And the conversation would happen completely in my head, and it would never come out of my mouth.
Wow.
So
that's definitely not you.
No,
now.
It's not me now.
But it is who I met when I first saw you. So
Right.
obviously this went on for years. And you touched something on your culture, and I kind of want to go back to that because, again, you you've helped me so much with this, and just your family. And your mother is like, to me, she is a gem. I remember her picking us up at the airport one time and being like, "Oh, thanks for picking us up so late." She's like, "Anytime I get with my daughter," I'm like, I don't even know what, like, my goodness, I didn't know mothers talk like that about their daughters. But
she's definitely my best friend.
yeah, I mean, and I know you were super close with your grandmother, and your grandparents immigrated here from Iran, correct? And to escape the regime. And you were talking about how the culture, was that culture kind of instilled? But because I find it interesting that they escaped Iran, but then they come here, and then there's this, like you said in your family, this kind of insurgence of women's voices. I mean, do you think that had anything to do with your upbringing, them leaving that regime, leaving that culture, and then I'm going to amplify women's voices?
I don't think they ever left the culture. I think that, we're Jewish. And
all right, listeners, quick nurse to patient moment. If you have ever needed an MRI or CT scan, you know that waiting can feel like its own diagnosis. That's why I want to tell you about Advanced Imaging Center. Advanced Imaging Center has been serving the community since 1998. And with 4 locations in Lancaster, Palmdale, Valencia, and Ridgecrest, California, they make care easy to reach. They offer early morning appointments, evenings, and even weekend hours, because life doesn't wait, and neither should your health. They have everything under one roof. MRI, open MRI for those of you who get anxious like I do, CT scan, ultrasound, mammograms, x-rays, biopsies, even bone density tests, and nuclear medicine. They take insurances like PPO, HMO, Medi-Cal, workers' comp, and even offer discounted cash prices. So if you need imaging, or someone you love does, visit aicscan.com or call 661-949-8111. Advanced Imaging Center, bringing clarity to the moments that matter.
At the time the revolution happened, it just wasn't safe for Jews to be in Iran.
Sure.
So my parents had left a little earlier, and my grandparents had stayed behind with my 90-something-year-old great-grandmother. And they were actually smuggled out of the country. They left their entire lives behind, their homes, their cars, their business, everything.
Right.
And literally left with whatever bag they could carry on the back of a pickup truck.
Wow.
It's the stories I've heard my whole life, which has also shaped how I look at life and everything about it. Love, resilience, determination, family, all of these things. So coming to America and, immigrating here was a need. It was to survive.
Yeah, survival.
It was really to survive. But the culture never left us, right? So I have grown up in a unique environment where I'm very rooted in my family and culture.
Which I love about you.
But I'm also born in America, and I grew up in an American culture.
Right.
So I've always felt like I've had one foot in both worlds.
I bet a lot of people feel that way.
It's possible.
Yeah, as
Where
far
I'm a
as
first
at least in that
generation.
community,
No, I'm a
yeah.
first generation American, and so that's very possible. Not wanting to lose your heritage and your culture,
Right.
but also forming a new identity that no one else has. So it's been a very interesting balance my whole life, and truthfully, it still continues to be.
Yeah. How do you think that history like lives in your body? How you listen, how you care, how you hold space.
Well, Persian Jewish culture is very rooted in family. It's very rooted in faith, and it's very rooted in community. So, I'm not going to paint the negatives, because everything has positives and negatives. But I have always felt that we're really connected to tradition. So for me, faith is just the underlying tone by which I live life. It's not like it comes in when it's convenient or on high holidays.
Right.
It's just, this is how we live. It's like the ethos or the morals and values I live with. And
It's
I
like
do
the Friday
everything
night Shabbat, right? Like, I mean, I know
Friday
we already
night
know like Candis is not available on Friday nights.
Yeah,
and
Friday
to be
night.
honest, I don't see that a lot. So I've always really appreciated that. I mean, it doesn't mean you're less Jewish. I just felt like I loved that you really have always like held that and you teach your kids that. And I remember you telling me about with your kids, like even, doing kosher, how tell everybody what your thought on it. It's not just the tradition or the culture of being kosher. Why do you do it? I just think this is fascinating.
Well, so I do keep kosher, just because it's a belief system.
Sure.
It's not a have to or what.
Right.
No one can force you to do anything at a certain point in life, but I just believe in it. And so I really wanted to raise my kids kosher, at least until they're bar and bat mitzvah. And as they've gotten older, and they've never really questioned, like, why do we do this?
Sure.
But for myself, and I've often said this to them as well, it's if I can just get you to think about what you're going to eat, what you're about to put in your mouth, because kosher just has some dietary restrictions. Right. And it's really the idea that beyond the religion, right? It's
exactly.
The idea that you are just thinking, is this good for my body? You're having intention.
Yeah. You're training them to have a mindset.
I'm training them to think.
Right. And not just about food, right?
Right. It's just, if it's the habit of, let me pause and think, is this right for me? And then proceed.
And this is why you're going to be an amazing coach. Because you teach things on such a level that may seem like it's about food, when really you're teaching these kids like a foundation that they're going to use in their life about other things, right?
Right. And I've said that. I've said, even if they grow up and they decide they don't want to keep kosher, if they still think, I've won.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still a win.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And when you talk about the culture and the Jewish community, again, we're in LA, right? We have so many different communities. And we're coming out and we're kind of talking. I mean, even me coming out with a podcast, it's not like I have all this culture of like, oh, I can't come out and speak out. I've always just kind of spoke my mind. So I've never really felt fearful of that. But you're in like you said, a smaller community. Do you ever get, I don't know if fearful is the word, but maybe any vulnerability or hesitancy of showing up publicly kind of in this realm as a Jewish woman? Or a Persian Jewish woman? There may be two different realms of that.
I will definitely say that it's not the norm. And I don't have a lot of examples of it within our community.
Is that scary for you?
That's a great question. And I think that before I got deeper into this work, I would have said yes. I would have said the vulnerability of showing up and having the community's potential judgment on me, because the judgment is real.
Sure.
Was a bit intimidating.
Sure.
But now that I've come this far and I've done the work and I've sort of seen where it's led and how my life is different, I feel a responsibility to pave the way for other women. Yeah. And so when I'm coming from that place, it doesn't matter really. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Yeah. It's not going to be the right timing for everybody. But if only it's a handful of women, then it was worth it, because their lives have improved. And not only that, but they are healing their past generations. They're helping their mothers and grandmothers.
And then the ripple effect from now on, right? Their children and grandchildren.
And then their children and grandchildren. Yeah. And it will change the trajectory of how these women, whether it, by the way, I'm not only, out here trying to help Persian Jewish women.
Of course.
But
you are setting an example, that it's okay, right? Even in whatever community it is. I mean, I remember when
just as a woman,
exactly.
Yeah,
I remember even some of my podcast, and I was with my husband, who's Jewish and Israeli Jew. So there's just different levels, right?
Right.
and his family, like, do you really want all that out there? And isn't that just too much to share? Because there is a certain aspect of, you just don't need to put all your business out there.
Yeah.
But there's an intention. It's not just a talk. This is about, because we're kind of having conversations that nobody else wants to talk about.
And it's the learning lessons from them.
Right.
So it's a yes and you don't need to put, this isn't about airing your dirty laundry. Sure. This is about sharing and giving other women the permission to share.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, something really powerful happens. Right. It gives other women the permission to share as well their stories, but then also we learn from each other. And when you learn, you grow. And when you grow, you help other women. Yeah. And then it becomes, again, like the ripple effect. Yeah.
It comes a revolution. Like you always say that you're going to have one day. She did a magazine cover on a future self, and she was on the cover of Time magazine. And I'm like, this is like this. I totally see it. It's totally going to happen. This revolution, helping women elevate their voices. I love that for you.
I'm really passionate about it. And more than that, I feel a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a genuine responsibility from what I've learned to share my story,
right?
So that other women feel empowered to share theirs, to own theirs, and to help the women that come after them and our daughters, our future.
Yeah. And it seems like you've done a great job and at least figured out some kind of balance of being able to honor your faith, but obviously, show up as your kind of evolved self as well. Like you can do both.
Absolutely.
Both can be, coexisting at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right?
There is no doubt in my mind that is, like I said, my faith is the undertone by which I do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it comes in and out when it's convenient. It's just that's the blanket on my life, and everything else I do is woven on top of that.
Right, exactly. I know that you had a strong relationship with your grandmother, and again, I've met your mother. So you come from really a line of such incredible women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes you so awesome. And then obviously, passing that on to your daughter. When you look at your grandmother, your mother, and yourself, what do you think the common thread is?
Well, like I said, I think I grew up and was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where on both sides, the women were not the norm.
Mm.
Not only were their roles as women extremely valued and cherished, but both my grandmothers, my maternal and my paternal grandmothers, definitely used their voice at a time when it wasn't popular,
right?
Wasn't
quite dangerous, right?
Yeah, wasn't accepted, was really frowned upon. And if I even take it a step further, my great grandmother, so my grandfather's mom, equally, if not more.
Yeah,
she was a single mother who, at the not by choice, but she was widowed twice.
Wow,
and had a child and was forced to work. She did not have any support. Women at that time were not allowed to work.
Well, we kind of see it. We kind of see it on the news and like, is that really real? That is real.
That is real.
And that's what you guys, your family was leaving, escaping from.
But even take it farther back. I'm talking more than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
When women were not allowed to work and interact with men, that was unheard of. And yet here was my great grandmother holding her own among men. I mean, holding her own. And men knew their place when they talked to her. So even when in my life I have felt like this is hard and I don't know that I have the strength to do this, I have really leaned on their strength as women who broke the cultural norms, who raised their voices to advocate for themselves at a time when it certainly wasn't accepted or okay, or they didn't have any examples of it either. Yeah. Right?
It almost feels like you've been almost like you're the one. Like you're the chosen one to kind of.
I see it as the ancestors before me and my grandmother could even look at it as like the time that I was born just happened to be the right time. And I have this the common thread between us really is rooted in faith and family above all else. Sure. And it's with the Jewish ideas and traditions of not just the traditions, but that you do mitzvah, you do good deeds, or tikkun olam, you repair the world wherever you can, that you do good when the opportunity presents itself. There's always time and a place for that. Yeah. That there's something bigger at play beyond just you.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we talked about even us meeting, right? There was something kind of bigger, kind of going on. But you also have an open-mindedness about you though too. Don't you think?
Thank you.
Well, I mean, just saying, I've seen other cultures to where it's like, this is how it is, and your community is kind of small, and these are the type of friends I have. But you
really I'm not over here trying to like convert anybody.
No, but you also, I know. I always say Jewish people, they're not trying to convert anybody over here.
No, but it's just living my life with the values that I believe. And like I said, it's not for everybody. Yeah. But
that's okay.
We are all human. Yeah. We are all souls having a human experience. And I genuinely believe that everybody has a piece of God in them.
Yeah.
Like there is that light in everyone. Some people are on a harder journey. They're having a more difficult time learning the lessons they need to learn. But there's no reason that I can't have compassion for those people.
Right. Yeah.
It presents itself a lot more and a lot more challenging to do that when someone is like flicking you off on the highway or whatever it is. They're having a bad day or life is tough for them, and they don't have that compassion in life, that softness that anybody can give. A smile to a stranger who you don't know what's going on in their life. We all have that capability.
We just don't think about it all the time, right?
No.
We're all up in our own.
And we're human. Stuff happens in our lives.
Absolutely.
This doesn't mean I don't get frustrated too, and I don't have a moment where I'm, having a mom moment, or
I've heard you drop F-bombs
I'm
before.
frustrated. Me? No. Who?
Yeah. What do you think your grandmother would say about the work you're doing right now? Because did she know this side of you?
I think she knew the real me. So she knew the side of me that was strong. We're talking about a woman who, like, I kind of had two moms, my grandmother and my mom. So she kind of raised me.
Yeah.
That saying, you're your mother's daughter. Well, I am my grandmother's daughter as well. Right. Very much grew up in her bed, as I say. So I think she knew the capability, but I think she'd be really proud that I'm finally owning it and stepping into it. And my grandmother always advocated for others outside of advocating for herself. When she was younger, she has always been the person who used her voice when other women felt like they couldn't. When someone was being wronged in, let's say, in a marriage, and they would come to her table and she would bring peace and bring it back together, but it was her voice. And I think she would be really proud to see how I'm not only honoring that, but also helping other women. Because she didn't grow up seeing that around her either. Neither did her aunts or her mother, nor my mother. So
I bet they're both, I mean, I know your mom's got to be so proud of you too. And I know she supports kind of this work we do, working on ourselves and our inner child.
She was my first example of this.
Yeah. Not every parent is, would even be open to that, but I just feel like
she took a more spiritual route. Like when I was younger, and she'd be teaching herself about Kabbalah, and then she'd come and share it. And I'd be like, okay, Mom, I'm good. I don't need to know. And she's like, no, I'm just telling you for myself. But those were my early examples of her trying to self-improve.
Yeah, they really seem to set a foundation for you to kind of springboard up into what you're doing.
Right.
What do you think I don't want to say took so long. I mean, obviously we have our own journey, but why is now the right time for you to be showing up more, having more visibility online? Because again, when you posted this thing not too long ago, I was shocked. I couldn't believe you were so vulnerable, but I cried because I knew that was in you, but I thought this is going to change people because you're already influential already, but to put a whole vulnerable side about your first marriage and how you were bullied, that took it to a whole other level. Why do you think you stayed behind the scenes so long, and why now at this moment that you are stepping forward in your visibility and your presence online?
Well, like you said, everybody has their journey, and that was an essential part of my journey, to really understand what it takes to amplify voices, to work with other people's voices before I could fully even understand and notice how I didn't really have one myself and how I wasn't connected to it. But now, having done the work and realizing that by sharing my stories, I could be helping other women, but realizing that by sharing my stories, I could be helping other women rise up and step into their power is, again, a responsibility I feel like I have. So to know that I could be helping at this point now,
not staying quiet,
it feels like it would be irresponsible to still, it feels like it would be irresponsible to not speak up and to not reach back and help pull another woman up.
Sure. Wow. Which you've done with me.
Not intentionally.
Well, that's the beauty of all of this, right?
Yes, it is.
you mentioned earlier too that you were almost feeling safer behind the scenes, being the listener and kind of relieved that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
What about now? Now that you're having visibility and you have a voice, do you feel relief that now you're actually coming out and speaking and helping other people? Does that feel like relief to you?
I
The
don't
same
know.
way, the way that you did
Right.
when you're behind the scenes?
I don't know that relief would be the word
Mhm.
I'd use, but I definitely feel a sense of honor
Mm-hmm.
that as much as the experiences that I've had in life were difficult at the time,
Mm-hmm.
those challenges that I've gone through have shaped the person that I am.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely grateful to Liz and to the Warrior Women community for being able to do the deeper work
Right.
that has healed a lot of those things,
Mm-hmm.
that has allowed me not to judge it, that has allowed me to change the narrative from a negative to either neutral or a positive in a way that I can lend it a service
Yeah.
to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that I don't have to carry it anymore. And my daughter doesn't have to inadvertently carry it. Right. So it's completely changed the generations that are coming after me,
Right.
the generations of women coming after me.
Right.
I feel very humbled and honored, if anything, that I'm in a position to help elevate other women.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure even your husband watching you do this, there had to have been some hesitation, even with just your own marriage, right? Doing this and starting to help and step out. And I have to mention husbands because I'm sure there's women out there that are like, I want to help, or I want to, or even doing these groups or going these deeper work. Sometimes we don't even want to tell our partners because it's like they're going to think we're doing some, cult or some voodoo something.
Woo-woo stuff.
Woo-woo stuff. Yeah. How has that gone over with him as watching you, from a distance, to some degree, watching you kind of evolve in this way?
I can't say that he's fully shared all that information with me, but I can say that, again, coming into my own voice in the beginning, and you know this because I really looked to you a lot, and I was in such awe of how you would share with Alon, like, wow, you do that?
Like you told him that?
You tell him all these things, and you're like, yeah, you can too. But in the beginning, I was hesitant to tell him that I was even in the groups or what we were doing or what we were talking about. And then slowly, as I really started to find my own voice and feel connected to my inner self and grounded, that it felt safer to share. It made a closer connection because I could then bring him into what was going on. And he may still not fully understand it and be like, okay, you do you, whatever it is that you were doing. But I do believe he sees a change in me and how I parent and how I show up to the relationship.
And he's definitely not discouraging it, right? I
No.
mean, that's when you're doing something right. It's not like he's saying, "What are you doing over there?" You're kind of being a not nice human.
Right.
You're actually creating some really positive change in your home, in your marriage, in your kids. I'm just grateful that you kind of came to this to where, I mean, I feel like I got the benefit of hearing you and your wisdom and all these different things in our groups and even in our friendship of just hanging out and our husbands getting to hang out and you being, my husband even reaching out to, your husband for my birthday dinner. I mean, just the relationships that we've built just from being vulnerable, with each other, starting all from a Zoom 3 years ago. Who would have thought? I'm just grateful you really found the courage to not just keep it to yourself and you've really been able to share it, and now getting to kind of share it with other people and finding their voice, because I don't think there's anybody more perfect to do that.
Thank you.
Finding people's voice the way you have. And how does it feel to finally be the woman whose voice is being amplified, when in the past you were amplifying, and not just, I'm helping people, but how does it feel in your body and daily of wow, I'm my voice is out there now. Like when you did this course the other day, or you did this moderator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're listening to you. I'd never seen you do that. What did that feel like?
It's interesting because it just feels like I'm coming home to my voice. I really believe that for all women. I don't believe we lose our voice. Like we have to go out there and find it. I just think we have it in us always. And somehow we, like I said, our nervous system tells us it's not safe to use it.
Right.
And so we program ourselves. And then before we know it, we're adults in marriages with kids, responding to life on old programming. And so...
Oh, I like that. Repeat that.
Somehow, when we're younger, we learn that it's safer to stay quiet than to speak. And that becomes the programming with which we are now adults, with spouses, with kids, and we are responding in our jobs, in our lives, on old programming. And think about how much you resist updating the software on your iPhone.
It's so true, because what's going to happen in those darn glitches? And you're so right.
Glitches.
That's so true.
It is your iPhone software. Everyone stalls that as much as they can before the phone is like, I'm not even giving you a choice anymore. I'm just downloading this for you. Now look at ourselves. We are operating as adults in the world based on childhood programming.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. I know so many women who, it's so true.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they realize that.
And we upgrade everything. You upgrade your phone every couple of years. You even upgrade
true.
Furniture at some point. You upgrade your wardrobe.
I just upgraded my rug yesterday.
You upgrade your, You upgrade your decor.
I upgraded my production team, and man, this is amazing.
But we rarely pause to upgrade ourselves, to catch up to where we are in life.
I don't think people even realize in that, because I don't even think I looked at it the way that I had. You do operate on old programming.
You absolutely.
And is this some of the things you're going to be? Because you just had not too long ago a coaching kind of session, kind of a free session on finding your voice. Is this some of the things you're going to be talking about in your coaching program? Can you just tell me a little bit about that and what that's going to be like?
Yes,
because I want to be a part of it too.
And you will be a part of it. I'm going to have you on as a guest speaker, actually, in Finding Your Voice. Yes, I am extremely passionate about helping other women update that programming. And that really starts with awareness and increasing their level of awareness about what they've been doing. Because, we just become robots.
Yeah.
And especially when life is busy. You do all the things and you're not really paying attention to what you're doing. You're not stopping to pause and see how that's actually making you feel, and if that's really aligned with what you want. Because again, you're just trying to survive. We were out here trying to survive. So increasing their awareness, helping them to heal past anything in that old programming that needs healing so that they can upgrade the programming. And then more important, once you've done that, is rewriting your narrative. The things that we tell ourselves based on the old programming. Oh, I don't speak up. I definitely don't do that. But what if you really do, and you just learned along the way? That's just something you're telling yourself. Yeah. And at some point, it just wasn't safe to do it. But maybe that is who you are.
Right.
So how powerful is that?
It's very powerful. And I'm inspired. I'm always inspired by you too.
I love
and
you.
I feel like if legacy isn't really about what we leave behind, because I think people always talk about legacy, about what we leave behind, but it's really what we pass on. Do you feel like this for you is what you're hoping women are going to carry from you? Do you hope women takes this? Like, this will be part of your legacy and how you kind of leave a mark?
I really see myself as the one holding the torch, kind of paving the way. I've gone through the things, I've done the healing, and it doesn't mean the healing stops.
Sure. It's a continuous process. It doesn't mean
the work ever stops.
Yeah, it's not like we've arrived, right?
We have not. It's not that we've arrived. We are constantly evolving and growing, and life happens. Life will happen. But I really feel that sense of responsibility that if I'm holding this torch and shining a light for other women to follow, that what I hope will happen is the little light in them that they may, it's not little, but they may feel like, oh, it's just little, like I have nothing to say, or who am I? that becomes their torch that they hold, and that they pave the way for the women behind them to follow or around them to follow. That sense of responsibility that collectively we rise together.
Yeah.
And that's really what I hope that I leave behind, is knowing that I have left the world a better place than when I came in it.
Well, I feel that already. And I feel like our world just right now, the state and the climate that we're in the world right now, and you're going to make me cry. Like, what is this? This is what I think people need. And I just think someone like you doing this. And I'm just so grateful to know you, and so grateful to be in your life. And I do think God, the universe, spirit, something was orchestrating us to be together and use our voices together. So I'm really appreciative of you being here today and sharing so vulnerably. And I just look forward to see just the impact that you have. And I look forward to seeing your daughter rise up and do, some of the same things, because you come from such an incredible line of women. She's so blessed to have you, and I love you.
Thank you. I'm so inspired by you too, Mindy.
Thank you.
The way you've used your voice to, in the same way, help other women, help everyone actually, to heal, to understand. Your level of vulnerability has inspired me, and I have always reflected that back to you. I've always been in awe of how you've stepped into it. Me initially with hesitation, and you with no hesitation. You were like, I'm ready for this.
Dove in.
But you've helped so many, and you continue to. So I'm honored that you've asked me to be on your podcast and to even shine a spotlight on this work to help more women step into that.
Thank you. I think we need to do, more often with you too. I want to hear about the coaching later. So thank you. If women want to, and I know they're going to want to connect with you, can you let them know how to reach out to you, what you're going to be having coming up for them, and where to connect?
If you're interested in learning more about the Spotlight Method and my coaching program to help women reclaim their voice, you can go to thespotlightmethod.com or at the Spotlight Method on Facebook and Instagram.
Sometimes healing doesn't come from therapy or time alone. It comes from being witnessed by the right women, the right woman at the right moment. Sometimes we're not healed by answers, but by examples, by someone who shows us what's really possible simply by how they love. That's what Candis has been to me, the greatest gift in this time of my life. Thank you for joining Call the Nurse podcast. We will see you next shift. Thanks for listening to Call the Nurse. I'm Mindy, navigating life one shift, one story, one breath at a time. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who just might need a little life support. Until next time, breathe deeply and heal gently, and I'll see you next shift.